Level 1. The Dreamer. You are 17 years old and you have made a decision. Not the way most teenagers make decisions. Not because it sounded cool, not because you saw a movie. You made it in the quiet part of yourself where things get decided without words. You want to be a Navy SEAL. You don't tell many people. The ones you tell smile in a way that isn't quite a smile. Your father asks if you've really thought about this. You have thought about almost nothing else for 2 years. You start training before you enlist. Every morning at 5 you run. Every night you do push-ups and pull-ups until your arms give out. You swim at the public pool 4 days a week. You read every book you can find about BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, the training program that has broken more men than any program in military history. You read about Hell Week, 5.5 days of continuous operation with 4 hours of sleep total. You read about it and you feel something in your chest that isn't fear. It's closer to recognition. You graduate high school. You enlist in the Navy. You score high enough on the ASVAB to qualify for the SEAL pipeline. Your recruiter shakes your hand and tells you most candidates don't make it. You know. You have known that for 2 years. You are going to be one of the ones who do. You are 18 years old, and your body is strong and your mind has not been tested yet. The testing is coming. You don't know what that means yet. You think you do. Level 2. The Recruit. Boot camp is not what you prepared for. Not because it's harder than you expected. It's different. 8 weeks of discipline and instruction and collective punishment and uniform inspections and no sleep and no privacy and no moment that belongs to you. You do everything they tell you. You do it faster than most of your company. You are already thinking about what comes after. What comes after is Naval Special Warfare Preparatory School. 8 weeks in Great Lakes, Illinois. Every candidate who wants to attempt BUDS goes through prep school first. You run, you swim, you do more push-ups than you have ever done in your life. You run 4 miles in boots in under 31 minutes. You swim 500 yards in under 12.5 minutes. You do more than the minimum because the minimum is not the goal. The goal is BUDS. The goal has always been BUDS. You graduate prep school. You get your orders. Coronado, California. The Naval Special Warfare Training Center. The place where SEALs are made, or more accurately, the place where everyone who isn't a SEAL finds out. You fly in on a Sunday. You look at the Pacific Ocean from the window of a cab. The water is gray and flat, and the temperature is 58 degrees. You will spend the next several months in that water. You don't sleep well that night, not from fear, from readiness. You are ready, or you think you are ready. The first morning will clarify things. Level 3. The BUDS Candidate. The first day of BUDS, they make you wet and sandy within an hour. That is the phrase, wet and sandy. It means you go into the ocean and then you roll in the sand until every part of you is covered. You will be wet and sandy for months. Cold, wet, sandy, and sleep-deprived is the permanent condition of a BUDS student. First phase is 7 weeks. Physical conditioning. Running in boots on soft sand that never gets easier. Ocean swims that start cold and get colder. Log PT, which means you and 7 men carry a log that weighs 300 pounds through physical evolutions until your shoulders stop working. Obstacle course. Drown-proofing, where they tie your hands behind your back and your feet together and put you in a pool and you survive. Surf passage in January. You enter the Pacific Ocean in a small rubber boat in darkness, and the waves are 12 feet and the water temperature is 55 degrees. Every man is screaming to paddle, but the ocean doesn't care how hard you paddle. The ocean is teaching you something that every SEAL eventually understands. The ocean doesn't know you're there. Then comes Hell Week. You knew it was coming, nothing prepares you for it anyway. Sunday night to Friday morning. 132 hours of continuous operation, running, swimming, boat carries, log carries, crawling through mud, plunging into the surf, getting back out, doing it again. You are cold from hour 1. By hour 30, your body has stopped registering cold as a problem. By hour 60, your brain is doing things it has never done before. Hallucinations, hour 72. You see things that aren't there. You have a conversation with someone who isn't present. You continue moving because stopping is the only thing that isn't an option. Men quit around you. Not weak men, strong men, intelligent men, men who trained harder than you. They walk to the brass bell mounted near the instructor station. They ring it 3 times. They set their helmet on the ground. They are done. You do not ring the bell. Not because you aren't suffering, because you decided 2 years ago in a quiet part of yourself, and that decision has not changed. Hell Week ends on Friday morning. You are sitting in a chair in a medical station, and a doctor is checking your core temperature, and your instructor walks in and says, "Secured," and you don't cry. Your face does something, but you don't cry. Not yet. You sleep for 11 hours. You wake up, and you are still in buds. Level 4. The Trainee. Hell Week is not the end of buds. It is the end of the beginning. Second phase. 8 weeks of combat diving. You learn to breathe underwater with gear that leaves no bubbles. Closed-circuit rebreathers. You learn underwater navigation. You swim compass headings in black water at night for 2 miles and surface within meters of your target. You learn combat swimming techniques. Tethered to a dive partner in 0 visibility, doing things that most people would call impossible. Your dive partner's life depends on you doing it correctly. You do it correctly. Third phase. 9 weeks of land warfare. San Clemente Island, 25 miles off the California coast. Weapons qualification. Demolitions. Patrolling. Small unit tactics. You blow things up in controlled environments and learn the physics of what happens when things blow up in uncontrolled environments. You shoot until shooting is not something you think about. It is something your body does while your mind does other things. You graduate buds, a ceremony on a grinder in Coronado. You receive a Trident, the gold badge that says what you are. An eagle holding a flintlock pistol and an anchor and a trident. The combination of symbols meaning you can operate from air, land, and sea. You have earned the right to wear it. You have not yet earned the understanding of what it costs. That comes later. You report to SEAL Qualification Training, SQT, 26 weeks of additional training. SEER School, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. They capture you. They put you in a simulated prisoner of war camp. They treat you the way enemies would treat you. You do not break. You complete SQT. You are awarded the Naval Enlisted Code 5326. You are a Navy SEAL. You're 22 years old, and you have been in training for 2.5 years. You are about to learn that training and deployment are different in ways you cannot understand until you are inside both. Level 5. The Operator. Your first deployment is to a country whose name you will not say at dinner parties. You are assigned to a SEAL platoon. 16 men. You are the newest. Everyone knows you are the newest. Nobody says it directly. You feel it in every room. You earn your place the way everyone else earns their place, by being reliable, by being quiet, by doing your job exactly right when it matters. Your platoon operates at night. You sleep during the day in a compound that is barely distinguishable from the buildings around it. You eat, clean weapons, study intelligence packages, brief, rehearse, sleep, and do it again. Your first direct action mission happens 3 weeks into deployment. Your target is a man whose photograph you have studied for 2 days. You do not know his name. You know his face, his habits, the layout of his compound, the position of his guards, and the door you will enter. Your team inserts by vehicle at 2 in the morning. You move on foot for 400 meters. The compound is dark. The signal is given. You breach the door. You move through rooms in the specific way you have moved through 1,000 rooms in training. The man is there. The mission ends. You exfil. You are back at the compound before 4 in the morning. You clean your weapon. You eat something. You sleep for 5 hours. You wake up and do it again the next night. This is the job. Not dramatic, not like the movies. Precise, methodical, repetitive. You do this for 6 months. You come home. You don't tell your family what you did. They don't ask in a way that requires an answer. Your mother makes your favorite meal. You eat it. You sleep in your own bed. You feel the strangeness of quiet. Quiet is something you have to readjust to every time. 6 weeks later, you start preparing for the next deployment.
Level 6. The Senior Operator. You have been on 4 deployments: Iraq, Afghanistan, and 2 places you will never discuss. You are 27 years old. Your body carries the record of what you have done. A scar on your left forearm from a piece of shrapnel on your 3rd deployment. A knee that clicks when the weather changes. Ears that ring at a frequency only you can hear. You are a senior operator now. The new guys watch you the way you once watched the senior guys. You remember how that felt. You try to be useful to them in the way that was useful to you. Not in speeches. In the way you handle things when things go wrong. Because things go wrong. Your 5th deployment, a target package is wrong. The intelligence says one thing, the building says another. Your team is inside a structure, and the structure contains something the intelligence didn't account for. You make decisions in the next 40 seconds that you will spend years examining. The decisions are correct. The outcome is acceptable. You come home. The mission is classified. The decisions live with you unclassified. You talk to your team's sergeant about it once. He listens. He says something that is exactly right. You don't write it down because some things should stay where they are said. You have a girlfriend who has been waiting for you across 4 deployments. She is patient in a way that most people aren't capable of. She has learned to read your face when you come home. She knows which homecomings are fine and which ones need a few days. She gives you the days without asking what they're for. You don't deserve her. You know this, and you tell her this, and she says you're an idiot. You are probably both right.
Level 7. The Team Leader. They give you a platoon. 14 men who are your responsibility in every direction and at every hour. Your decisions determine whether they come home. That is the weight. You carry it differently than you thought you would. You thought it would be heavy. It is not heavy. It is present. Always present, the way your own heartbeat is present. You stop noticing it separately from yourself. You plan operations with a level of attention that would have seemed excessive to you 5 years ago. You wargame contingencies that have a 2% chance of occurring, because 2% happens. You have been inside 2% twice. Your intelligence officer brings you a package on a high-value target. 3rd time this target has appeared in your briefings. Twice before, the intelligence was wrong about timing. You ask questions that your IO doesn't initially have answers to. He gets the answers. The answers change the plan. The changed plan matters. You execute. The target is there. Everyone comes home. You debrief until 2 in the morning. You are back in the planning room at 6. Your assistant officer in charge asks if you ever sleep. You sleep. You just sleep in the way of someone who has learned to use every hour that isn't being used. You lose a man on your 6th deployment. Not your platoon, an adjacent element, a man you have known for 4 years. You go to his memorial. You stand in a row with other SEALs in dress uniform. His Trident is driven into his casket with a mallet. Every SEAL in attendance does the same, one by one. The sound of each Trident being driven in is not a sound you forget. You fly home. You go back to work. That is what he would have wanted. That is what they all would want. You know this because you would want the same thing.
Level 8. The Senior Enlisted Leader. 12 years in. You are a Senior Chief Petty Officer. You have been on 11 deployments. Your body sends you a bill every morning. The bill is significant. You pay it. You are now the Senior Enlisted Leader of an entire SEAL squadron. You're responsible for the welfare, performance, and readiness of over 200 operators. You no longer lead raids. You lead the people who lead raids. The distinction changes everything about the job. You spend your mornings in meetings with officers and your afternoons working through problems that the meetings created. One of your operators is struggling. Not operationally, personally. His marriage is failing, in the specific way that SEAL marriages fail, which is slowly, and then all at once. He comes to your office on a Tuesday afternoon. He sits down and doesn't say anything for a moment. You wait. That is the skill nobody teaches. Knowing when to wait. He tells you what's happening. You listen for 40 minutes. You don't solve it. There is no solving it. You tell him the truth, which is that the job takes things and you pay the tab at the end, and the tab is always higher than you budgeted for. He nods. He thanks you. He leaves. You sit in your office for a while after he goes. You think about the things you have paid. Not with regret, with the specific honest accounting of someone who chose this and would choose it again, and knows what both of those things cost simultaneously. The culture around mental health is changing. Slowly. You are part of making it change. Not through speeches. Through being the senior enlisted leader who goes to the therapist and doesn't hide that he goes. Some of the younger guys notice. Some of them make appointments. That is the entire point.
Level 9, the commander. You are a commander. An officer who reached this level came up through buds alongside men like you and has been leading at every level since. You command a SEAL team, 8 platoons, an intelligence element, a support element, a headquarters element. You are responsible for the readiness and employment of the most capable special operations force on the planet. You brief admirals. You brief undersecretaries. Occasionally, you brief people whose names are not said aloud in the briefing room. You make recommendations about operations that will happen on the other side of the world. Sometimes the recommendations are taken, sometimes they are not. You have learned that the decision above yours is made with information above yours, and that disagreeing with it is sometimes correct and always pointless at volume. You make your case, clearly, once. Then you execute the decision. You lose a mission. Not men, the mission. Intelligence was wrong. The target was not where the target was supposed to be. The element inserted and found nothing and exfiltrated clean. 6 months of planning. 0 result. You sit in the after-action briefing and you do not rage. You ask questions, specific questions. What did the intelligence say? What did the environment contradict? Where was the gap? The gap gets documented. The documentation changes how the next intelligence package is built. The process improves. That is the only response to failure that makes sense at this level. The response that doesn't repeat the failure. You attend too many memorial services. You have given too many eulogies. You know the wives and the children and the parents. You know which kids have their father's eyes and which ones are old enough to understand what the folded flag means. You carry those faces with you. You will carry them for the rest of your life. You don't know yet that the rest of your life will feel insufficient for carrying them.
Level 10, the retired warrior. You retire at 44. The ceremony is in a conference room on a base you have been stationed at 3 times. Your family is there. Your teammates who are still alive are there. Some of the men you served with attended via video because they are currently deployed. You give a speech. You don't say anything about what you actually did. You talk about the men. You talk about the only thing that matters, which is the person to your left and the person to your right. You drive away from the base. You go home. You sit on your back porch with a cup of coffee and you listen to the specific quality of silence that exists outside the wire. The quality that has no helicopters, no radio traffic, no weapons, no threat. Just silence. You don't know what to do with it. You spend the first 6 months not knowing what to do with it. Your wife says this is normal. Your therapist says this is normal. The other retired SEALs you know say this is normal. Normal doesn't make it easier. You walk with a slight limp that gets worse in cold weather. Your hearing is damaged in a way that aids help but don't fix. You have dreams that aren't always dreams. You wake at 3 in the morning sometimes and check the doors. You don't apologize for this. You explain it and your wife understands, and you check the doors. You work with a veterans organization that helps operators transition. You sit across from 28-year-old SEALs who are trying to figure out who they are when the uniform comes off. You don't tell them it gets easier. You tell them it gets different. That is the honest answer. You attend a Bud's graduation. You stand at the back and watch 250 men who started the program get reduced to 63 men who finish it. You watch a young man receive his Trident. His face holds the expression of someone who just survived something enormous and doesn't yet know that survival was the beginning and not the achievement. You know that expression. You wore it once. You want to tell him something true about what comes next. You don't. He will learn it the only way it can be learned. You shake his hand. You say, "Congratulations." You mean everything else. Somewhere tonight, a 17-year-old is lying in bed making a decision. Not the way teenagers usually make decisions. He will not understand what he has decided yet. He will spend the next several years finding out. The ocean is waiting for him. The bell is waiting for him. The Trident is waiting for him. Most people who try will never find out which one they reach first. He thinks he knows which one. He doesn't. But he will show up anyway. They always do. The cycle continues.